12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast, episode 48. This afternoon, my guest is Austen, and she's actually based out of Florida. But before we jump into the interview, let me do some house cleaning as far as 12 Faces of Sober, the brand. Big shouts out to Magic Maine. Magic Maine is the company that I will be going with as far as my first advertisement, we'll say. And it's a beer, well, not gonna say beer product, but it's a product for not only beer, but for promotes growth in people's hair. So look out for that. That is definitely a partnership that I will be doing moving forward, as well as I just added 2 new items on my website, 12facessober.com. Those are 2 pairs of slide. I have a black pair and a white pair, and it's the camo logo. I might be adding a different color to the logo probably in the next couple months, so be on the lookout for that. And as well as I am nearing the end of my children's book. I just spoke with someone in my old neighborhood in San Diego. They're actually gonna take the pictures for me within the next week. So hopefully I will be able to get that, the illustration started within the next month or so, as well as the Army book. My Army book will be complete at the end of the month, and I'm still shooting for that book to be, both books to be released around my birthday, so around August, give or take, if not sooner. Just depends on who I go with as far as the editing for that book. But like I said, Austen is my guest. She's from Florida. She's early in sobriety, and I think that it's very important to not just interview people that have years under their belts, because I want to see what their thought process is during early in sobriety. And so, like I said, I've been following Austen probably, I would say, just shy, let me say about maybe a month and a half. I could be wrong, but I think roughly about that. She doesn't have a whole lot of content, but she does respond or clicks likes or even comments on some of my posts. So I felt like, what, why not have her on the podcast? She seems pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the interview. Austen, welcome to 12 Faces Sober Speaks podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Greatly appreciate it.
I really appreciate it.
Now, so let's just start with the past. Like, did you grow up around alcohol? Was that something you saw in the home, or was this something that because like some people, they don't necessarily experience it until they get to a certain age. So how was that for you?
For me, it was mostly like, it was never in the home really. It was kind of like extended family and people close to my family. So it was not directly in my home. Like, yeah, my mom would drink wine or whatever, but it was never anything crazy. Like, I never really seen my parents partying or anything like that. It started out for me outside of all that. So yeah, like around the home, no, but extended family parties, stuff like that. My dad's side is where it really started, because I was around it on his side, but my mom's side, not so much. Yeah, and it was in my family, but never any of my immediate family. So that was, everything was fine on that level,
So how old were you when you took your first drink?
I was 14 years old at a friend's garage party, and his parents weren't there. And it was a natural light. A natty light was my first beer, of course. Oh, wow. And yeah, that was pretty much it. As soon as I had that first beer, I was like, shit, this is going to be a problem, like this is going to be a problem for me. And I knew immediately, which, it doesn't really happen. Usually it's a slide, like a slow kind of slide. But for me, it was instant. It was there as soon as I took that first drink at 14.
Okay, so 14, you're, just starting out high school. Now, was that something that progressed throughout high school? Or was that just more of like a social thing? Like on Friday night, Saturday night, somebody having a party? Or was this like, okay, more of like a during the week type thing?
Yeah, it started out as kind of like a weekend thing, or like a, it always, I feel like, starts out as a weekend thing. And then you have 4-day weekends starting making Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday the weekend, Mm-hmm. And then, some days it's like Tuesday, somebody's randomly having a party, or, this bar does an ID, let's go kind of thing. So for me, it really kind of just spiraled out of control after that first, that first beer. But especially when I moved to Virginia, because I was living in upstate New York at the time, and then I moved to Virginia. And in Virginia, it's a lot different. Just I don't know how to describe it really, how different it was, but it was just a lot different. So there we were out drinking all the time. It wasn't really frowned upon tea drinking.
Okay. Now, did you ever feel that it was a problem, or did anyone tell you that, okay, yeah, this is starting to get out of control?
I've been told, I was being told since I was about, I could say 16 was probably around the time when people were like, okay, it's getting a little out of hand. My parents probably around 18, like before I even really turned 21, it was a problem. So they, I was very open with my parents. So, and they knew that there wasn't really too much that they could do, because, teenagers are going to just do what they want anyway. But yeah, it's just, I definitely was, especially before I got sober, it was like, I was getting told left and right, like, oh, you need to chill, you need to stop drinking, you need to calm down, all that stuff. Cause I drink all the time, literally. If I couldn't drink, I wasn't going,
Now, did you ever feel like you ever told yourself like, hey, I might actually have a problem? Or was it just like, all right, people around me may be telling you, but you yourself never like identified the drinking as a problem?
Yeah, no, I was telling myself too, like as soon as I heard kind of that first, like, nagging like in my head, like this isn't right, you shouldn't be doing this much. I've always kind of known, and I never really pushed that away. I was just like, yeah, I have a problem, but I'm also like I'm having fun. This is like the time when I can have fun. I'm a teenager and I'm grown, you know what I mean? So that was that. But I definitely knew I had a problem towards the end. Like I would say about, well, obviously my second DUI, which was 3 years ago in August, or 4 years ago in August. Then I was like, damn, I really got to do something about this. But it just progressed more and more and more until I got to the point where I'm at now. So, as of 66 days ago, I think it is now. I don't know. But yeah, I've always known that I had a problem, but thank you. Appreciate it.
It's, one day sober is good, and you got 66. So like I said, keep going. So you just mentioned about DUIs. Now, I myself, despite the fact I probably should have had a good 50 plus in my duration of drinking, if not more. But what was that like for you? The first one?
The first one, I was 18, coming home from a bar that didn't ID, and somebody hit me head on at a light. I don't really remember it because it was years and years ago. I got on probation, and it was like unsupervised probation, so it wasn't that serious. I felt like I was like, whatever, and I kept drinking, kept being crazy. And then my second one was in July or August of 2019. And that time it was just a whole situation. And again, I don't really remember it, but that second one really was like really cemented, like, you have a problem. Like, yeah. So, and I was 21 when that happened. So, so I'm about to be 25 next, or on the 20th of this month. So I'm pretty young still with all this stuff going on.
Day after my mom's birthday.
Oh, really? Everybody is I know so many people with that birthday, I swear.
Yeah. So did you have to do any jail time, or did you have to pay any fines in the process of those DUIs?
For the first one, no. For the second one, for the first one, yeah, there was like fees and stuff, and the second one, I had to do like a driving thing for both of them. Excuse me. Sorry, 1 second. Oops.
You go.
My grandma picking up my medicine from my surgery and doesn't have my ID. Anyway, sorry, I'll start over.
It's all right. No, I can cut it out. No worries.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, with the DUIs, I got the second one I got I violated my probation and ended up in jail for a month.
Mm.
And even that didn't deter me. I kept drinking and I kept, because I was alcohol and cocaine. So I kept doing coke, I kept drinking. I just kept drinking these detox drinks to get through my drug tests. And, you know, I almost failed a couple, but I didn't, thank God, after that one scare, because I would have been in jail for 6 months, I think, at that point, if I would have failed the second one. So yeah.
So
yeah.
you did 30 days. And that was that a wake-up call, or you said you still was still out there, you know, drugging and drinking, right? So
The night that I got out of jail, I went back to work, which I was a stripper, and I went back to work and drank. Literally that night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
yep.
That's not a good environment to be in if you trying to, you know what I'm saying, if you that's a real deal. You went from jail to work and back to drinking.
Yep.
So when was it?
I danced for six years, so you know that was normal for me.
Okay.
I just retired last month on the 20th.
Okay, well, congratulations on retirement.
Thank you. March 20th, I actually was my retirement date. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Now, what was it at this point to where like you said enough is enough, and you know where you're at today? What was it like 66 days, or I'm saying 67 days ago? How was that?
The morning of March 5th, 2022, I woke up going through such bad withdrawals that I was too weak to tell my grandparents, who I live with, that I needed to go to the hospital because I felt like I was really in bad shape. I felt like I was literally dying. So I was just too weak. I couldn't do anything. So I just did what I could. And that day, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Oh, you good.
This is about my medication. I'm sorry. Okay. So yeah, I woke up and I was so sick. And then I just like told myself, I was like, I can't keep doing this anymore. Like I'm literally physically ill from this almost every day of the week. I'm physically ill when I don't drink. So and I've wanted to quit. I've actually quit for 30 days before this time. My friend, he passed away, and then I was coping by drinking. And because I felt guilty because I had seen him hours before it happened. So I felt guilty about it because he was leaving my work to go home, and so I felt like shit about it. And so I was drinking and drinking and drinking, and that was just, that was that. I was like, okay. And then this time, what's different about it for me this time is just I'm very, I actually am really in touch with my spirituality, and I always have been a really spiritual person, but this time there's just something different. Like I have no desire to drink. I haven't had any cravings. I haven't had any like flashbacks of like having a great time and being like, oh, I want to drink. Like it doesn't happen for me. And I'm really lucky about that. I don't think about going out. I don't think about me hanging out with the people that I was hanging out with. I've been alone, and I've only left my house to go to physical therapy, surgery, and one day at the beach with my friend, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's sometimes you need that. You know what I mean? Because I've been there. Especially early in sobriety. I was, even though like I did. I went to rehab in Minnesota, and back in 2016. Excuse me. And it was, I guess, for me, because like I used to live out there. I did my undergrad back, in 2003. I finished my undergrad out there, and then I left, went to Arizona. But it was, for me, it was like, all right, I've lived in Minnesota. Most of my friends from college are now, they got families, married. A lot of them moved away. So it made things easier, and it put my mind at ease, because I literally went and got, I went to grad school, and I put my focus on school. And so that I didn't have that, that urge to want to go to the bar or, go to the liquor store, because I was by myself completely. Like I went through a divorce and literally like got out of rehab and was like, okay, I was just homeless a few months prior, and it was like, okay, what do I do? Do I try to go live with my mom? And I was, at that time, I was like 30, 37. And I was like, okay, I got to do for me.
Right.
So like the isolation, I did it. I know that some people say it's not good, but you do what works for you. That's to where it's like, okay, if you might go outside or go into a particular location, you might find yourself back in it. And so I commend you on that. Keep working on, keep doing that. Finding hobbies or things that you enjoy doing during that time of, keeping to yourself. And so
yeah, I'm in school as well right now, so that keeps me focused. I got straight A's, high 90s in every class, so I'm doing good.
And I wanted to ask you about that too, because I know that I don't know if you taking online classes or if they're in person, but did that have, or does that, or at any point has that been an impact as far as the drinking in the past? Like, okay, hey, it's the college scene. Hey, somebody, like you said, people partying dang near every day of the week, especially in college.
Yeah, I do it online. So
Okay.
I sit and I'm at home. I work from home now. I sit at home all day, and I'm happy with that because I've always been kind of a like isolated person. I've never really, it's like despite my old job, I've never really liked that scene, the club scene, all that stuff. So like recreationally, I would not choose to go to a club, especially anymore now that I don't drink. Okay. Why would I go? I like to people watch, but
yeah,
I could go to the beach and people watch. I don't have to be at a club on a Wednesday night at 2 a.m.
Right. Understandable. So besides school and rehabbing, surgery, what are some other things that you do to occupy your time? What are some hobbies that you made, or just say hobbies that you picked up since during this sober period?
So now that I'm sober, I have a lot more time to play video games, and I have a lot more time to pretty much do the stuff that I wanted to do before. So like with like podcasting, so I have a podcast that I co-host with my friend. We do that. I just have been working on creating content for my Instagram and all that other stuff. I haven't really posted a lot yet because I'm still working out a schedule for myself that'll work and not stress me out, because I am doing a lot. I basically do everything right now. Like I occupy my time with anything I possibly can get my hands on, between content creation, video games, cross stitch, reading. I read a lot, things that I've always done, but now I actually have time to do them because I'm not hungover in bed trying not to die. I can sit at my computer all day and make content and make stuff for my podcast and stuff, and work on planning for my solo endeavor. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing a lot of planning, and that keeps me really busy and really occupied. So,
and a book that you need to add to your collection is 12 Faces of Sober.
Yeah, hey, I'll put it on my list. Goodreads.
Add that for sure. Now, let's see. So, what had, like, if any, what are any like challenges you may have faced like during this time of being sober? Because not every day.
That's a hard one, because
not every day is going to be a good day. So you can't give.
Yeah,
that.
Correct.
Yeah. It's just
correct. And I've definitely had my days. So I'm like I'm bipolar, but I'm really well medicated and stuff like that. So luckily, I'm pretty under control with that, but I definitely have had my days, and I definitely don't see it as being a good, like, every day is grand, and it never really has been that way for me. I've always respected the fact that there's going to be feelings that you have to feel, and I know that, so I haven't really had any days that are really any different from others, like super super hard days. I mean, I had this surgery, yeah, it sucked, but I don't spend a lot of time dwelling on the negatives. That's why I don't really get cravings and stuff like that. Cause like I do a special kind of meditation called transcendental meditation. And it really helps your mindset, like kind of focus, like you transcend past that stuff. It really doesn't matter. You know, like at the bottom of it, it doesn't matter. So it has no impact on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty dope. Now, have
Yeah.
you like I said myself, I and it's not a bad thing. Like I respect AA. I've been to AA. Now, is that something that you have done or a part of or in A, or how are, you know, what's your thoughts on those?
I do not like AA. I don't like pretty much anything they're doing. I totally, you know, like if it works for you, go ahead, you know, great for you. Does not work for me, never worked for me. I've tried it. I've tried online, I've tried in person. It just doesn't work for me because my philosophy of addiction is way different than theirs. It doesn't match up. But what I do is I actually use the app Reframe, and I
Okay.
have meetings on Reframe every day. And, you know, it actually teaches you what addiction is and how to unlearn it, because essentially it's a learned behavior, you know. So that's, you know, I prefer that rather than somebody telling me that I'm sick and I have an allergy and I'm all this stuff when I'm not a victim. I got addicted to an addictive substance. It's not my fault. You know what I mean? I'm not a victim because, oh, your body can't handle it. Like everybody is on the edge. Even if you're a casual drinker, you could slip just as easily as any alcoholic. That's why I don't believe in the word alcoholic. I don't believe in any of that stuff because in my opinion and in my research, because I actually just had to write a paper about this.
Okay.
It's just what they're doing is holding people back and holding people down. They're holding you down from your potential where you can heal yourself and you can get help. That's not that, because AA is so pushed to keep you in that fear, you know, rather than educating you on what addiction actually is. But they're teaching you something from the 1930s and 40s that just is outdated. That's period. So I'm not a fan of AA. If it works for you, fantastic, but more power to you. I don't like being a victim. So
Right. No, I like I said,
yeah.
that's one of those questions that I asked because, like I said, I started going. I mean, I went to AA. Like I said, I've had a drinking problem. You know, I struggled with it for over 12 years, and so before I had even got
Mm-hmm.
sober in 2008, I had got into a little bit of trouble in Phoenix. And so I went back to Minnesota and my mom was like, you need to go to A. And I'm like, man, I really and truly don't want to go. But it was kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
stipulation of staying there with her. And of course, I went to AA, listened for an hour, did whatever. As soon as I walked up out of those doors, I was going to the closest liquor store. So I didn't learn then.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
and
Yes.
and so when I went, because like even with that, like I've done rehab stints. I've been in rehab, I would say 2 or 3 different times: Phoenix, Virginia, in Alexandria, Virginia, Minnesota. So
That's where I used to live.
oh yeah, I was at Fort Belvoir, right there, the Army.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there back in
Yeah.
2014. I was forced, and if I wouldn't have went, the Army was gonna kick me out.
Okay.
I dreaded it, trust me.
You're right.
But I don't knock the program. You know, like you said, if it works for the individual,
Right.
that's cool. But to me, it was
Mm-hmm.
like, it was, you know, that was something that was dug into me, you know, for some years, that this last time it was like, okay, I tried those other ways, but I want to try it my way and see if it works.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like 5 years and a few days shy of 6 months being sober. And I'm living proof that if you, just like you said, you know, you change your environment, you change the people that you're around, you pick up, you know, different type of hobbies, and it's whatever works for you and how you, like I said, because I asked the question in terms of like, have you faced any problems? Because some people are like, oh yeah, life is good, life is good. No, it's not, because I had to deal with a whole lot of stuff. Like early in my sobriety, like I literally, oh dang. All right, it's gonna cut off in 10 minutes, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll jump back on once it cuts out.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I had like I went to South Africa. I did a study abroad in South Africa, and my ex-wife got served with
Mm-hmm.
divorce papers. So once I knew that she had got served with those papers, I'm like, this is the journey that I want to be on. But I didn't want to go by a textbook. I wanted to do it myself because I wanted to be able to tell others, hey, like I made it without, being that 90-day, 90 meetings type person, because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to commit
Yeah.
to that. So that it's good to hear
Yeah.
somebody else saying that. So kudos to you for sure. For sure. Now,
Hell yeah.
now you mentioned your podcast. Now, what are some things you have are on your episodes, on your shows? What are some of the topics that you guys face on your podcast?
So my podcast is called I Kissed Alcohol Goodbye. I co-host it with my friend Dana, who started it. He is amazing. And I love doing that. And I'm going to start a solo project soon, so it's going to be pretty cool. But basically on that podcast, we talk to people from all walks of life. We had a millennial roundtable, we had a Gen X roundtable, we had a men's roundtable. Like, we do things like that was before. So my first episode hosting was the last episode we did. It's up now, but a couple of days ago. And but I guested in like 3 of those episodes that he had before me. So I was episode 12 was the episode that I became co-host. Okay. So before that, it was a lot of just talking to different people in different walks of life about their journey and their recovery and all that stuff. Like how, because everybody has a story to tell. And, that's what makes recovery so interesting, because everybody has a story to tell, and everybody should be able to get their story out there so that somebody else can hear you're not alone, basically. And it's okay to doubt yourself, and it's okay to have these feelings, and you should express them. So like basically every episode has one moment of just like real like heart stuff that's coming straight from the heart, and it's good advice too. So that's good. It's definitely a feel good type of podcast. We talk about all kinds of different things. Our last episode, our friend Matt, he was talking about how his experiences with plant medicine and how that helped his sobriety, plant medicine and spirituality. And I just did an episode with him on his podcast too, speaking of spirituality and stuff like that. So our podcast deals with that kind of stuff, just inspirational stories and opinions, things like that.
Okay, that's what's up. Now,
yes.
Let's see. Now, what? How has social media impacted your sober journey thus far?
Well, I deleted my original account that I had like on everything. Snap, my Instagram, all of it is gone now. Like it's past 30 days. I deleted all that because I don't want to see the old life and the old stuff I was, paying attention to, like celebrities, people that were drinking and people that were glorifying it, stuff like that. I don't want to see that anymore. My Snapchat is gone too because I have all those memories on there that I don't want to see. Okay. Things like that. Like I really just got rid of all of that stuff. And then I have my positive side, like what I'm doing now with my sobriety. Like I have reels and stuff up on there. They're just not on my main grid anymore because I'm changing like I said, I'm rebranding kind of. I'm like changing everything around. So it feels good to see other people doing the same thing I'm doing and going through the same struggles that I'm, the same milestones and the same roadblocks. And, it feels good to know that I'm not alone. And you can see that rather than looking at what this celebrity wore to the friggin' Met Gala. Like nobody gives a shit. I want to see real raw stories about real raw people. I do not want to see any of that. I don't care. It doesn't impact me. So
yeah, because I had my former life. I used to work in radio. So back in the early 2000s, and some of these famous rappers are still out, and I'm like, okay, you weren't as tough. You know what I mean? Like the personality. So I see the pictures and the commentary, and I'm like, man, I was the one who was picking you up from the airport. I'm the one who was supplying you with drugs, all this type of stuff. And it's like, okay, but this is not who you really was. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying on that one. And so I also salute you in terms of, cleaning out that you know, cleaning out the negativity or the stuff from the past, because I had to do the same thing. And it took a while. I mean, I had to do, you know, like I said, I had Facebook, Instagram with my ex-wife, and I had to go through dang near every single post almost. I should have just created a whole nother account, but I was like, nah, I'm good. I want to keep this account. But I did that, and it was a sigh of relief, because it was like, it was closing a chapter in my life that needed to be closed. And you know, I didn't need any type of reminders of it. So that's definitely good. And I'm you know, commending you, because you know, you're noticing these things early in your sobriety. A lot of times, you know, some people kind of hang on to that past because they may eventually might want to, you know, go back to that lifestyle. Now, and from what you're telling me, it sounds like this is, you know, you're serious about this, and you're really trying to really navigate your life to something totally different. And I commend you on that, for real.
Thank you. Yeah, I am. Like, this is my purpose. I've found my higher purpose in life, and you know, my spirit guides are telling me something, and my dreams were always telling me something. And you know, I just decided to surrender and let my higher self take the wheel, and this is what's happening, and it's great. You know, like, I have people every day telling me that they relate to me, or coming to me telling me about a slip or a relapse, or you know, I have people asking me for help, basically, and reaching out, because people feel comfortable reaching out to me so that I can give them resources that I'm using, because I am pretty early in my sobriety. But you know, I just feel like I have some kind of pull, and that makes me feel really good. Like, people feel comfortable talking to me, and that's what I want. That's like my whole goal, you know, is just to help. That's it.
And like I said, Austin, I appreciate it, only because, you know, like I said, you're my first guest that's early in sobriety. And at first I was like, I kind of made it a rule, like, okay, they have to have at least 6 months to a year. But I also wanted to get the perspective of someone that's early in sobriety. And you're definitely it. And like I said, you have a plan. And, you know, only thing I would say is to stick to it and navigate yourself all the way, you know, to the top, to wherever you're trying to reach the goal. You know, you seem like you have that personality to get to that point. Most definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. Really, it means a lot.
For sure. Now, I'm all actually out of questions.